Dear students, I welcome all of you to the last session of second chapter Indian Economy 1950 to 1990. The main points that we are going to discuss today are what is meant by small scale industry, then what is trade policy, the second last one is achievements of policies on India's industrial sector, and the last topic is deficiencies of policies on India's industrial sector. What is small scale industry? Small scale industry is defined with reference to the maximum investment allowed on the assets of a unit. In a small industrial unit or small scale industry, the maximum investment allowed was rupees 5 lakh. But now it is rupees 1 crore. So what is small scale industry? An industry where the maximum investment allowed is rupees 1 crore. Again, I am repeating, small scale industry is a unit where the maximum investment allowed is rupees 1 crore. Earlier it was 5 lakh. That type of industries are called a small scale industry. So small scale industry is defined with reference to the maximum investment allowed. The maximum investment allowed was 5 lakh earlier. Now it is rupees 1 crore. The next topic is Karve Committee. What is Karve Committee and how it relates to small scale sector? Karve Committee is the government appointed the Village and Small Scale Industries Committee, popularly known as Karve Committee. So the another name of Karve Committee is called Village and Small Scale Industries Committee, which was appointed by the Government of India in 1950. What is the purpose of Kavi Committee? This committee recommended promotion of small scale industries for the promotion of employment and development of rural areas. So this is the connection between Karve Committee and small scale industries. This committee recommended the promotion of small scale industries for the growth of rural areas. The government accepted the Karve Committee's recommendations. Accordingly, production of many goods were reserved for the small scale sector. Like concessions like lower tax, low interest loans, priority in government purchase were also given to small scale sector. So according to the recommendations of Karve Committee, government reserved many production areas for small scale industries. They provided some concessions like lower tax, low interest loans, priority in government purchase, etc. to the small scale sector. So again, I'm repeating the things. Small scale sector or small scale industry is an industry where the maximum investment allowed is rupees 1 crore. Earlier it was 5 lakh. Karve Committee, the another name for Karve Committee is Village and Small Scale Industries Committee, which was appointed in 1955. What was the purpose? This committee recommended the promotion of small scale industries for the growth of rural areas. Government accepted the recommendations of Karve Committee. Accordingly, government reserved the production of many goods for small scale sector and lower tax, low interest loans, priority in government purchase, etc. were also given to the small scale sector. Then what are the significance of small scale industries? Small scale industry, SSI, which stands for small scale industry, it requires less capital. So it is easy to start. Then SSIs are labor intensive. That means they create more job opportunities. SSIs use domestic resources. So instead, they are using local or domestic resources. They are not means SSIs not need not depend on imports. Then SSIs are eco-friendly. SSIs help in the village development and welfare. And the last one, it helps in development of agriculture sector. So these are the advantages. We can say the advantages of small scale industries. What are the advantages? Small scale industries require less capital, so it is easy to start, and it are exercise are labor intensive. Labor intensive means it uses more labor than that of machine. So there will be large opportunities, more job opportunities will be there, and it uses domestic resources instead of depending the imports. They are depending on the local resources. Then exercise are eco-friendly, which means they do not harm the environment. Then small scale industries help in village development because they are more concentrated on rural areas. So it helps in village development and welfare, and it helps in the development of agriculture sector as well. So these are the significance of small scale industry. We have discussed about the different advantages of small scale industries. Now we are moving to another topic, that is drawbacks of small scale industries. The very first one is subsidies and tax rebates increase government's burden. What is subsidy? Subsidy is a financial assistance given by the government. And this concession in tax. Concession in tax means reduction in the amount of tax. All these increase the government's burden actually. In the Carvey Committee's recommendations, we have read that the protection of many goods were reserved for small scale industries, then concession in tax, tax exemption, lower tax, low interest loans, priority in government purchase, etc., were given to the small scale industries. All these increased government's burden. That is one of the drawback. Which means a government's income is increasing by giving subsidy and by giving concession in tax. Then second one is overprotection. Overprotection means we are we are protecting small scale industries using reservations, like reserving some production of many goods were reserved for small scale industries, then concessions, etc. So we are overprotecting small scale industries. Actually, this adversely affected large scale industries. The overprotection given to small scale industries badly affected large scale industries. The third one is many industries started in backward areas suffered from power shortage. Most of the small scale industries were started on the backward areas or rural areas, and they faced the shortage of power, etc. So many problems were there. Then lack of proper market for goods produced by small scale industries. There is no proper market for the goods produced by small scale industries. And the last one, absence of basic amenities like lack of credit facilities, etc. Are the other drawbacks. So these are the different drawbacks of small scale industries. Subsidies and concession in tax increased government's burden. Then overprotection given to small scale industries badly affected large scale industries. Then many industries uh, suffered from the shortage of power, etc. Then lack of proper market for the goods manufactured in small scale industries, and absence of basic amenities and lack of credit facilities are other drawbacks of small scale industries. The next topic is trade policy. What is trade policy? Trade policy means it is the regulations and agreements that control imports and exports to foreign countries. So the rules and regulations related to exports and imports is called a trade policy. Here we are going to study what was the specific feature of trade policy adopted during 1950 to 1990 in India. We adopted import substitution. What is import substitution? Import substitution means substituting imports with the domestic production. That's called a import substitution. It was an inward looking trade policy. It aimed to discourage the imports of goods and services which can be produced domestically. So instead of importing goods and services, we start to produce goods domestically. We are producing in India instead of importing from other countries. So, this strategy of import substitution was not only to protect domestic producers from foreign competitors but also to decrease the dependency on foreign goods and services. Another aim of import substitution was to the very first aim is to protect domestic producers, and the second aim was decrease dependency on foreign goods and services. If we are producing it domestically, then the dependency will be automatically reduced. In the policy of import substitution, domestic producers were protected by imposing tariffs and quotas on imported goods. Then how our government adopted this import substitution policy? These two are the weapons used by India: tariffs and quota. Protection is given through tariffs and quota. Protection to the domestic industries. Tariff means these are duties imposed on exports or imports. So the tax imposed on export and import is called a tariff. Quota means quantitative restrictions on imports. Tariffs are duties imposed on exports or imports. So import duties are used for protecting domestic industries. While importing from another country to India, they have to, foreign countries have to pay high import duties. It will automatically increase the price of their products. So by comparing the foreign products and domestic products, it looks like domestic products are cheaper than foreign products. So it will help Indian industries from competition. So they charged a high tariff. Then quota. Quota means quantity restrictions on imports. It allows only a limited quantity of the product to be imported. While importing from other foreign countries, they can import only a small quantity. So obviously, it will help domestic countries or local industries. So these two are the policies adopted by Government of India. They given protection to the domestic industry through tariffs and quota. Tariff means these are duties imposed on exports and imports. Import duties are charged. Import duties are used for protecting domestic industry from foreign products, and quotas means restrictions, quantity restrictions. It allows only a limited quantity or only a small quantity of the product to be imported. So these two helped import substitution. Import substitution means substituting imports with the domestic production. Instead of importing the goods from other countries, producing it domestically. That's called a import substitution. Achievements of policies on India's industrial sector. We are summarizing what are the benefits of these policies on India's industrial sector. The proportion of GDP contributed by the industrial sector increased. Earlier it was 11.8 percentage, means during 1950 to 51 it was 11.8 percentage, but it is increased to 24.6 percentage during 1990 to 1991. Then the annual growth rate has increased. Then because of this public sector, industrial sector became well diversified by 1990. So in this industrial sector given more importance to public sector, and due to that the industrial sector became well diversified. Then the promotion of small scale industries helped people who do not have capital to start new business. Then protection of domestically produced goods from foreign competition enabled the government industries, the development of industries in India. So these are the main achievements of policies on India's industrial sector. GDP has increased, annual growth rate has increased. Then due to the public sector, industrial sector became well diversified. Then promotion of small scale industries helped people who do not have enough capital to start business. Then protection of domestic industries helped the development of industries in India. Then India's agriculture sector became highly diversified. Efficiencies of policies on India's industrial development. The system of licensing created license permit Raj. It created a huge bureaucracy characterized by red tapeism and corruption. In the industrial policy resolution, you have studied about IPR the previous class, right? In the industrial policy resolution, it states that all the industries were under the control of public. Even if a private firm want to start a new business, they need to obtain the license. So the system of licensing that created license permit, Raj, means it created corruption. Then public sector in many cases incurred huge losses. Our industrial policy was given more importance to the public sector industries, and these public sector industries incurred huge losses. Then the third one is reservation for public sector created public sector monopoly. The production of many goods were reserved for public sector. Only public sector can produce these goods. For example, iron and steel, capital goods industry, etc. were reserved for public sector. So it created monopoly. Monopoly means absence of competition. Only public sector is there. No one is there to give competition. So it created public sector monopoly. The next one, protection through high import duties created inefficient units. For substituting imports with domestic production, we followed the policy of import duties. Actually, this created inefficient units. Domestic production was not that much effective. It says that. Then the industrial policy, instead of regulating the industry, restricted private initiative and industry. So today we have studied about small scale industry. Small scale industry is an industrial unit where the maximum investment allowed was rupees 5 lakh, and now it is rupees 1 crore. Then Karve Committee is the committee appointed by the Government of India in 1955. They recommended the promotion of small scale industries for rural development. Then trade policy. India adopted import substitution. That means substituting imports with the domestic production, which means reducing the dependence on foreign countries. The protection for the domestic industries is given through tariffs and quota. Tariffs are duties imposed on tax imports and exports. Import duties are used for protecting domestic industry. Quota stands for quantitative restrictions on imports. It allows only a limited quantity of the product to be imported. So these are the important topics. Thank you.